What do you do when your hands are lifted but your heart is weary? What do you say when you've prayed, fasted, believed, and still it feels like nothing is moving? What happens when your strength fails, not because you're weak, but because you've been fighting too long? Life has a way of draining even the strongest among us. You can be anointed and still feel tired. You can be called and still feel like giving up. And many are silently crying, Lord, I cannot do this anymore. But tonight there is a cry that pierces through the noise of human effort, a cry that heaven does not ignore. That cry is not for power, not for money, not for fame, but for strength. God, give me strength to continue. This is more than a statement. It is a lifeline. It is the desperate cry of men and women who are walking through fire but refuse to be consumed. Those who know that quitting is not an option but finishing feels impossible. If that's your heart tonight, you are not alone, because there is a kind of strength that only God gives. And that strength is coming upon you right now. Divine strength is a necessity, not a luxury. In the journey of destiny, strength is not an option, it is a requirement. The assignment that God gives to men is always greater than their natural capacity. Every time God calls a man, he calls him into a task that will expose the limitation of the flesh. The strength to continue in the will of God is not found in ambition or human motivation, it is found in the realm of the Spirit. Destiny is not driven by excitement, it is powered by strength and not the strength of man. There is a realm where zeal will fail. There is a realm where passion will be drained. There is a realm where intelligence cannot carry you. At that point, it is not encouragement you need, it is strength. The kind of strength that does not come from food or exercise or mental stimulation. It is strength that comes from the throne room. Strength that comes from intimacy. Strength that flows from communion with the Spirit. When Jesus carried the weight of humanity in Gethsemane, he did not ask for wisdom. He did not ask for power to perform miracles. He asked the Father for strength. It was so intense that angels had to be dispatched not to fight for him but to strengthen him. Because there are battles you don't fight with weapons, you fight them with stamina. The stamina to endure what you do not understand. The stamina to obey what does not make sense. The stamina to trust when there is no sign. Many people start well in destiny but they do not last because they rely on their gifts and their talents. But gifts can attract battles that only strength can withstand. And the tragedy is that you will not know how weak you are until life tests you. It is easy to believe you are strong until the storms begin to blow, and suddenly everything you built on emotion begins to collapse. That is when you realize that without divine strength, even prayer becomes a burden, worship becomes a ritual, faith becomes a struggle. You say all the right things but your heart is failing. That is when you must run back to the secret place and cry, Lord, strengthen me. This is why God never sends men into battle without first strengthening them. He told Gideon, go in this thy might, not human might, but strength that comes from divine endorsement. He told Joshua, be strong and very courageous, because leadership is not just about wisdom, it is about strength. The ability to stand when others fall, the capacity to hold on when others let go. You don't continue because things are easy, you continue because strength has been supplied. And when strength is supplied from the Spirit, the things that should break you become platforms for your rise. That is why in this kingdom, strength is a system of preservation. The man who has strength will endure where others surrendered, because in this journey only the strong survive, not strong in self but strong in the Lord. When human strength fails, God steps in. There is a realm in life where effort no longer produces results, where connections cannot open doors, where experience becomes irrelevant, and in that realm it becomes clear that the arm of flesh will fail. There is something about the frailty of man that positions him to need God. God in his wisdom designed life in such a way that no matter how intelligent, how wealthy, or how influential you are, there will come a moment when you will come to the end of yourself. That is not defeat. That is a divine strategy. Because until you come to the end of yourself, you will not truly begin to see the strength of God. The Bible says, by strength shall no man prevail, not some men. That means every attempt to journey through life and destiny depending entirely on your logic, your degree, your eloquence, your networks, will eventually lead to disappointment. And it is often when you are empty, when you are weak, when you are tired, that the help of God is revealed. His strength is made perfect in weakness, not in confidence, not in pride, in weakness. There is something about brokenness that attracts the attention of heaven. When God sees a man who says, Lord, I've done all I know, but I don't know what else to do, that posture is a magnet for divine strength. God is not impressed by self-sufficiency. He is not moved by those who act like they have it all figured. But the one who falls before his feet and says, help me, will always encounter his power. The proud rely on strategy, the broken rely on grace. Even Paul, mighty apostle that he was, came to a place in his life where a thorn was given to him. He prayed 3 times for it to be removed. But God said, my grace is sufficient. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. In other words, the moment your ability ends is the moment my ability begins. When you are weak, then are you strong. Some of you are looking at your life right now and saying, I don't have the strength to continue. But that's the mystery. It is when you acknowledge your weakness that His strength is released. Your tears are not proof of failure, they are proof that your humanity has met its limit. And just when your knees hit the floor and your voice begins to tremble, help comes, not from men, not from systems, but from Zion, from the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. When God steps in, He doesn't always remove the challenge, but He strengthens you in the midst of it. He gives you the ability to do what was impossible before. Suddenly you begin to rise, not because the burden became lighter, but because you became stronger. It's not that the fire stopped burning, but like the Hebrew boys, you begin to walk in it, and not even the smell of smoke is on it. Because when God steps in, weakness becomes a channel for His glory. Strength comes through waiting on the Lord. This is one of the deepest mysteries in the kingdom. In a world where speed is worshipped and activity is mistaken for progress, God introduces a divine paradox. They that wait shall renew their strength, not they that run, not they that fight, but they that wait. Waiting is not weakness. Waiting is not laziness. Waiting is a spiritual posture of power, where your spirit is aligned to receive from heaven. There is a strength prayer cannot give until it is done in waiting. There is a wisdom that study will not deliver until it is accessed in wait. To wait on God is to posture yourself as one who acknowledges the insufficiency of the flesh. It is saying, Lord, I know that I can move, but if you don't go with me, my motion is in vain. Waiting is not inactivity, it is alignment. It is the training of the Spirit to synchronize with the rhythm of heaven. Many have failed, not because they were not anointed, but because they moved too fast. They interpreted the silence of God as rejection. They interpreted delay as denial. So they stepped out in zeal and they met Goliaths. They were not strengthened to face. There are battles in life that require more than courage. They require strength, and that comes from the secret place. The kind of strength and that only waiting can supply. It is in waiting that you receive instructions. It is in waiting that you are empowered. Those who fly in this kingdom do not run ahead. They wait. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, and they shall mount up with wings as eagles. That is not poetry, it is a spiritual law. The eagle does not waste energy flapping like other birds. It locks its wings and waits for the wind, and when the current comes, it rides effortlessly above the storms. Waiting on the Lord births discernment. It purifies desires. It aligns motives. It is in waiting that your will is crushed, and the will of God is established. Many are tired not because they are weak, but because they have refused to wait. They are trying to carry burdens that only divine strength can handle. And when the weight becomes unbearable, they say, God has failed me. No, the truth is they failed to wait. There is a strength in that only time with God can release, and it does not always come with noise or excitement. Sometimes, it's in the stillness that strength is given. Like Elijah under the juniper tree, exhausted from ministry and fear, he lay down and slept, and then an angel touched him and said, "Arise and eat, for the journey is too great." That meal, that encounter came in a moment of rest, not in activity. When you wait, you don't just get strength and continue. You get the assurance that you are not alone. You receive the breath of God that turns weakness to power, confusion to clarity, and discouragement to boldness. Because in waiting, mortality is exchanged for divinity. Every assignment has warfare attached to it. In the realm of destiny, nothing is handed freely. The moment you say yes to God, you automatically declare war against systems, altars, and patterns that have existed for years. Purpose is not pursued in peace. It is pursued in battle. This is why many start the journey of greatness with excitement, only to retreat when they begin to feel the heat of opposition. The throne of destiny is not vacant because it is hidden. It is vacant because it is contested. Before David wore the crown, he had to face the lion, the bear, and Goliath. Each one represented a level of warfare tied to his future. The lion came in the secret place, the bear came in the wilderness, and Goliath came in public. Because as you rise, the warfare changes. Every new level introduces a new adversary. That is why it is dangerous to desire elevation without understanding the warfare. There is a price for every glory. There is a resistance for every rising. Some of the challenges you are facing are not because of sin, disobedience, or bad decisions. They are the signature of purpose. The battles came because of the prophecies spoken over your life. The attacks came because of what you represent in the realm of the spirit. You are not just a person, you are a gate. You are a system through which God wants to pass light, revival, and transformation. And darkness will not fold its arms and watch you advance. When Jesus was born, Herod began to kill children. Not because he committed any sin, but because prophecy had come to town. Purpose attracts warfare. And until you are trained in the spirit to endure, you will keep withdrawing at the sound of battle. But destiny is not for the fearful, it is for the trained. You must be strong and equipped. You must understand the language of warfare. Not everything can be prayed away. Some things must be walked through. Even Paul, that mighty apostle, said, "A great door is opened unto me, but there are many adversaries." The presence of warfare is often the confirmation that you are on the right path. If everything is easy, check again, because Satan only fights what threatens his agenda. He doesn't fight noise, he fights purpose. He doesn't fight crowds, he fights carriers of light. So when you begin to rise, do not be surprised when battles increase. That is not the time to run, that is the time to stand. You must put on the whole armor. You must discern that every instruction from God is an invitation to a battle. He has already won, but you must enforce victory in the spirit is not passive. It is intentional. It is for those who understand that prayer is not a religious act. It is a weapon. Fasting is not a ritual. It is a tool of alignment. The word is not just for preaching, it is for war. Because every assignment has a warfare, and only the strong will finish. Grace is God's system of supplying strength. It is not just unmerited favor as religion has watered it down to be. It is a spiritual conduit through which divine ability flows to weak men. Grace is the empowerment of God upon the life of a mortal to do what they would never be able to do by themselves. When God supplies grace, He is not just showing mercy, He is injecting strength, strength to stand, strength to finish, strength to overcome, strength to rise above human limitations and achieve divine mandates. There is a reason why men fall after doing everything they know. It is because human effort, no matter how disciplined, still has an end. You can train your mind, train your body, quote scriptures, build routines. But when it is time to carry the weight of divine assignments, all these things will still bow to weakness. And that is where grace comes in. Grace is not the reward for performance. Grace is the help for performance. God does not give grace because you are strong. He gives grace because you are weak and yet willing. Paul said, I am what I am by the grace of God, not by prayer alone, not by fasting alone, not by study alone. He did all these things, but he acknowledged that without grace his strength was nothing. And then again he said, his grace was not bestowed upon me in vain, but I labored more abundantly than they all, yet not I, but the grace of God. That means grace empowers labor. It makes effort fruitful. There are people laboring with no results because grace is absent. They are sincere but tired. They are disciplined but frustrated, because results in this kingdom are not a product of effort alone. They are the fruit of grace. When God sends you to do something, He knows you are not able. He never sends you because you are capable. He sends you because He trusts that you will depend on Him enough to receive grace. Grace does not cancel human responsibility. It empowers. It adds the breath of God to your weakness and makes your little look like much. Grace is the reason 5 loaves can feed 5,000. Grace is the reason a stammerer can confront Pharaoh. Grace is the reason a coward hiding in a cave can become a deliverer of a nation. The absence of grace turns prayer into a burden, turns giving into manipulation, turns serving into slavery. But when grace comes upon a man, what breaks others builds him. What destroys others elevates him. What confuses others becomes his platform. That is why grace must be cried for. It must be valued. Because you can carry a great calling and die frustrated without grace. God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. That means grace is attracted to surrender. It flows in the direction of broken. When a man lays down his strength and says, God, I cannot go without you, that cry becomes a trigger for grace to be released. And when it comes, it turns ordinary men into signs and wonders. Beloved, the journey of destiny is not for the strong in flesh, but for those strengthened by the Spirit. We have seen that strength is not a luxury, it is a necessity. When your human energy fails, God is ready to step in, not just to comfort you, but to empower you. This strength does not come through striving, it comes through waiting in quietness, in prayer, in brokenness. You must understand that warfare is proof of your assignment, and grace is heaven's answer to your weakness. God never intended for you to walk alone. That cry, God, give me strength to continue, is not a sign of defeat. It is the sound that opens the floodgates of divine help. So rise from the ashes of fear, weariness and confusion, and receive the strength that only God can give. Your calling is valid, your purpose is real, and your strength will be supernatural. May the Lord crown your efforts with strength, renew your spirit daily, and surround you with favor as a shield. As you continue this journey, may doors open before you, and may divine strength propel you into your destiny. Thank you for lending your heart to listen. Thank you for your hunger for truth. May grace and peace multiply in your life, and may you finish strong. God bless you.